Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some breaking news coming out from this NATO summit going on in Washington, D.C. to share with you. I've got lots of information to go over, but one of the big topics that has been announced at this NATO summit is that the U.S. has announced F-16s are currently headed towards Ukraine right now. So it looks like Danish and Dutch governments, so that's Denmark and the Netherlands, are in the process right now of transferring these F-16s to Ukraine. Okay, so I'm not talking in the next few weeks. I'm talking right now. We've got video footage from U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken while he's at the NATO summit, stating that they are in the process right now of sending these F-16s to Ukraine. Okay, right as they speak during this summit here. So I told all of you we were probably going to be hearing very big developments coming out, and this NATO summit is not over. It's still going on today and tomorrow, so we will probably have even more news. We've got information here as well that it looks like Ukraine is going to be getting multiple air defense systems. It looks like they'll be getting at least 5 strategic air defense batteries, 4 Patriot systems, and 1 SAMP-T system. Okay, they're also going to be getting more other types of tactical air defense systems as well. And also, we've got information that Norway is going to be donating 6 F-16s to Ukraine as well. So we're going to be going over all this information in today's video. I want to share a little bit at a time with you guys, and we'll talk about this. So it looks like Ukraine is going to be getting lots of support here in the next month or so. And at the same time, what are we going to see? We're going to see more escalation with this war. We're also going to talk a little bit more as well, what I've been discussing lately about Viktor Orban. He's the Hungarian prime minister. He's come out recently in an interview right after he met with Volodymyr Zelensky in Kiev, and then he also met with Vladimir Putin in Moscow, and he discussed this war on both sides and tried to kind of be a mediator in the middle, try to find a way to end this war. Well, after he got done meeting with both sides, he came out in an interview and he stated that this war over the next 3 months in Ukraine is going to become much more brutal than what we've ever seen. So I'm going to talk some more about that here in just a little bit as well. But so let me go ahead and get right into this and start showing you some of this information. We've got a post here from Maria Drutska. It says, as we speak, transfer of F-16s jets is underway. So this is Antony Blinken, U.S. Secretary of State at the NATO summit, stating that F-16s are heading to Ukraine right now. Take a look.
As we speak, the transfer of F-16 jets is underway, coming from Denmark, coming from the Netherlands, and those jets will be flying in the skies of Ukraine this summer to make sure that Ukraine can continue to effectively defend itself against the Russian aggression. As we speak.
So this is crazy, right? I mean, Ukraine's been waiting about 2.5 years for F-16s, okay? Like the first year, basically, I remember President Biden was like, Ukraine's never getting F-16s. We're not going to send those. It's gonna cause way too much escalation. Well, now here we are, 2.5 years roughly into this war, and Ukraine is getting these F-16s now. So this war is definitely going to escalate. We already know that Russia has already said that any F-16s that come to Ukraine, they're going to destroy them. We'll see how that goes. We don't even know how many of these units Ukraine is going to be receiving. They're not giving that information out, but we know that they are sending them to Ukraine right now. Who knows? Ukraine could already have them, okay? If they're stating that they're sending them over, Ukraine could already have them, but what we know is they are on their way right now, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple other things here as well. I'm going to get these pulled up, and we've got another post here on X to show you real quick. So let's take a look at this as well from ViceGrad24. Says, breaking. Biden announces that the U.S. and its allies will provide Ukraine with dozens of tactical air defense systems, including, I don't know if I'm going to say these right, I'm going to try my best, NASAMS or NASAMS, Hawks, IRIS-T SLMs, IRIS-T SLS, and Gepard, I think it's Gepard systems. On top of that, 5 strategic air defense batteries will be sent. So they're getting 4 more Patriot missile system batteries and 1 SAMP-T system as well. Okay, so this is going to be huge for Ukraine as well. So they're going to have somewhere close to 10 now, I think, 10 Patriot systems. And this should help Ukraine defend their skies better than they've been able to before. And, you know, if we're hearing that Ukraine shoots down a majority of these missiles coming into their country, they should be able to shoot down a lot more of these. So we know that Ukraine's been needing these. They've been calling for them for a very long time. But the next big thing here, the next big set of escalation that we're all waiting on, and I'm waiting for this information to come out too, is right now Volodymyr Zelensky is really trying to push for the U.S. to give them permission to strike inside of Russian territory much deeper than they're able to right now. That striking near the front line doesn't really help them out much. They need to be able to go after these airfields that are not too far away from the border that Russia's using to launch their fighter bombers from. That strike inside of Ukrainian territory with just guided aerial bombs or these glide bombs, which are being mass produced in Russia right now, that are much cheaper than missiles that Russia only has so many of these of, and it's a very big problem for them. And they want to be able to go after these airfields and these jets that are launching these guided aerial bombs on their country. So I want to talk some more about these F-16s. I've got an update here as well from the White House directly on their website. This is a joint statement. It just came out today on F-16s for Ukraine from U.S. President Joseph R. Biden, Dutch Prime Minister Dick Schoof, and Danish Prime Minister, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, I don't know if it's Met or Meet, Fredrickson. We, the co-leaders of the Air Force Capability Coalition for Ukraine, have been working to provide operational F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. The Danish and Dutch governments are in the process of donating American-made F-16s to Ukraine with the support of the United States. The transfer process for these F-16s is now underway, and Ukraine will be flying operational F-16s this summer. We are unable to provide additional details at this time due to operational security concerns. We are grateful to Belgium and Norway for committing to provide further aircraft and to other members of the Air Force Capability Coalition for their support. We are committed to further enhancing Ukraine's air capabilities, which will include squadrons of modern fourth-generation F-16 multi-role aircraft. The coalition intends to support their sustainment and armament, as well as further association training for pilots to enhance operational effectiveness. We will continue to coordinate jointly in support of Ukraine's ability to defend itself against Russian aggression. So think about this for a moment. I'm sure Russia's going to be ramping up their air defense as much as possible, considering that Ukraine's going to be having these F-16s very soon. But Russia, throughout the time of this war, the duration of this war, they haven't really been used to fighting against aircraft, right? Ukraine does have a very small air force. They've got a select number of, I think, MiG-27s. I don't know if they have MiG-29s right now, but they've got a few aircraft, but they don't have too many of them, right? So Russia's not very used to fighting against aircraft flying around on top of them, right? So this is going to get very interesting how Russia responds to this. What I think will happen is we will probably see the Russian Air Force getting much more heavily involved now than they ever did before. If they were just kind of launching attacks inside of Ukraine recently, they're probably going to be patrolling their skies much more now than they ever did before. At least I would think so. And definitely their air defense systems will be on much higher alert. And that's probably also why we were hearing as well that they were starting to pull a lot of the air defense systems away from Crimea. I did a whole report on that. And they were starting to move them over to the eastern side of Ukraine and in that region as well. Also because there's lots of reports too that the U.S. may at some point, who knows, they may at some point allow Ukraine to start striking deep inside of Russian territory. So to them, that is much more important to defend their country versus defending, Crimea, which was obviously annexed, which they consider that part of their country, right? But to the global stage, to world leaders around the world, at least to the West, they call that portion of Crimea as Ukraine, right? So I think that's what we're going to start to see here, because Russia's going to have to start dealing with these F-16s now. So let me show you this as well. On Reuters, it says Norway set to donate 6 F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. Okay, so Norway's going to be sending some of these as well. Norway will donate 6 F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine to help it in defense efforts against Russian air attacks, the Norwegian government said in a statement on Wednesday, as NATO leaders attend a summit in Washington. Leaders of NATO member states are poised to unveil new aid to Ukraine to help it defend itself following Russia's invasion in February 2022. Hoping to change the course of the war, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky wants the 32-member alliance to send more weapons and money and to offer security guarantees. Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre said deliveries of the F-16s were planned to start in 2024. Okay, so even Norway is going to be sending these 6 F-16s here very soon, sometime this year. Combined with air defense systems, the fighter jets will be vital to enabling the Ukrainians to defend themselves against Russian air attacks, Støre said in a statement. Prime Minister first announced that Norway would donate the F-16s to Kyiv in August last year, but didn't say how many would be given. Okay, so we know that Ukraine is going to be getting a lot of these F-16s. Okay, we've heard from Belgium. I think Belgium, they're sending something like 20 F-16s at some point. I know that Norway was planning to send somewhere around the same amount. I can't remember how many, but they were going to start sending a select number of them very soon. I just did a whole report on that in the last week, and now we know that they're going to be getting them very soon, okay, from Norway and Denmark. So finally, I want to talk about one last topic here real quick, which is regarding this war and with Viktor Orban. I was talking to you guys about that towards the beginning of this video. I've got this report here. It's originally from the Business Insider, but we're gonna go over this just real quick on Yahoo News. Putin's favorite NATO member says the next 3 months of the war will be far more brutal after talks with Ukraine and Russia. So, as I stated in the beginning, just to recap, Viktor Orban, the Hungarian Prime Minister, he met with Vladimir Zelensky in Ukraine, and also President Putin, Vladimir Putin in Russia, just in the last week or so, right? And I did reports on that. So while he met with them, he's trying to find a way to end this war. And at the same time, he comes out in an interview not too much longer later, just a few days after meeting with Putin, and he says that this war in the next 3 months will be far more brutal than it ever was before. Okay, that's what he stated. He also said some things like Russia cannot be defeated, that it's impossible to defeat Russia. Many people would probably agree with that. Some people may not. There's obviously two sides to this war and the way people feel about it. But the fact that he's saying it's going to be far more brutal, I want to kind of talk about that for a minute, okay? Think about what's going on over in the next 3 months. Ukraine is getting these F-16s, okay? This war is going to intensify. I'm going to be doing a report later on today. I'm probably giving this information out a little bit too early, but we're going to do this anyway. Is that the British are going to be allowing Ukraine to use Storm Shadow missiles deep inside Russian territory. I'm going to do a whole video on that today as well. So think about that for a moment, okay? Britain is now allowing Ukraine to strike deep inside of Russian territory. Now, we're still waiting to hear from the U.S. Is the U.S. going to allow ATACMS deep inside of Russian territory, okay? Then also, what happens in the next 3 months here? In the next 3 months, we have a major election in the United States, okay? Now, this whole thing could tip the scale with this war if Donald Trump ends up getting into office. Okay, I've talked a lot about that before. We all know his stance on the war in Ukraine. He wants to end this war as quickly as possible. So wouldn't it make sense that this war would ramp up very quickly over the next few months? I'm just obviously speculating, right? It's just kind of my thoughts. You let me know what you think down below. But wouldn't you think this war would actually ramp up more, considering that both sides are kind of on crunch time right now? If Donald Trump, is able to end this war, let's say hypothetically he's able to, he finds a way to actually do this, and he really can end this war quickly, let's say by November or December, okay, is kind of what he's come out and said. That leaves only 3 to 4 months, maybe 5 months max, for both sides to kind of achieve their war goals, okay? If Ukraine wants to take the land back that they've lost, they got to do that now. If Russia wants to take over Ukraine and finish off Ukraine, they got to do that now, okay? It's just kind of how I see it. But regardless, I do have to agree with Viktor Orban. I think this war will get much more brutal over the next few months, considering all this escalation that we're seeing, just like what I'm reporting right now. So you let me know what you think down below. That's obviously another topic we could do for a whole video, basically. I could do a whole video on this topic about some of the scenarios that could come from this war and how much it could escalate over time. But that's going to be it for today's video, though. I just wanted to share this information with you. Just to recap, F-16s are on their way to Ukraine right now, and they're going to be there very soon. If not, they are already there, and Ukraine's going to be flying these this summer against Russian troops, okay, using these F-16s. So let me know what you think down below. That's going to be it for this update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.